snaking between the alleyways of the old town. I wonder if this graffiti is showing us something of the city's intentions for this site. Bird life and nature, and oh, not sure what that's going to be telling us about the city's intentions for this site. Here's a street without too many cars, I was about to say. But not too many cars parked. And there's a museum up here if you're interested. And it looks as though it might be a very large museum from the look of this. Open 10 till 8. What we have here is the History Museum. It is looking not open, isn't it? It'll only cost you a couple of euros if you're inclined to go in. I'm not feeling inclined, to be honest. What we've got here is some more of that bizarre Baltic sculpture. Why do I keep persevering with Baltic sculpture? I really don't know, to be honest. But I am. What are those little red things inside? Oh, they're strawberries. Of course they are. Strawberries in a huge ice cream chocolate thing. Oh, it says here, Tree of Sea. There's an ammonite. A penguin dressed up as a human. It's called Waiting. Ah. And a big finger or thumbnail. A bit different. I actually quite liked it from a distance, but somebody's written absurd on it. It's called The Sail. It's a shame they've written absurd on that, because I've seen far more absurd pieces of sculpture in recent weeks. Yeah, that's a bit unfair. Oh, we've got some more bits over here. We've got a green bird, is it? Maybe a sea eagle. Maybe a bird who fell in the green slime ponds. Oh, the seaside baroque. Somebody's being all fancy. Looks like a deformed bird monster thing. A bird which fell into the green slime ponds and as a result got transformed into a monster because the green slime ponds are toxic. Do you like the narrative? I think we can go with that. And over here, crest of a wave, on the wave. Aha. Okay, now we've got something a bit more kooky. Yeah, okay. And this, I think it's because of the colours. It's called Hug, which is nice, isn't it? Never have guessed it was called Hug, but I quite like the colours of that one. We've got another crest of a wave over in the background, which I won't bother visiting. Now, I really must get back to that mural I saw on the side of a building, which is over there. Don't let me forget, okay? Just don't let me forget that one. And how many places can say this? Too many, probably. But for the war, much of the town would have retained its old buildings, and we'd have more of it like this. And perhaps the streets and alleyways would be more narrow, and it wouldn't be possible for these blasted cars to get in. And we pedestrians could have it all to ourselves. Or is that just an evil machination? If you fancy going in and seeing some modern art, which I'm not feeling strong enough to. There's the Del Monu Galleria over there, over here, but it's all fenced off. Not really, just stopping the cars getting too close. We bipeds can make our way. And while we're at it, we can see a little bit of, what's this? The Old Town Well? One of the Old Town Wells, maybe? Ah, we're at the back of the History Museum, of course, now. The well's only 19th century, he says. Only 19th century. And that's a bit of a letdown, isn't it? You want to see a big drop down. But not going to see a big drop down. I filled it back in again. Ooh, collection of old pictures. Old wagons, thatchers, tree fellers, and people who like to cut peat. Oh, so this is what Klaipeda used to look like. Isn't that a nice picture? Of course they had windmills, and of course they had open air markets. They even had big umbrellas. Thought this was a musical act, and then I realised it was a wedding. Just normal clothing for a wedding. I thought it was a close harmony group. Maybe it was as well. Well, particularly the group of two at the front. Hopefully they were in very close harmony. And nice to see teacher smiling, isn't it? Ooh, an election. Horsepower versus horsepower. The site of the old train station we don't see anymore. I am tremendously surprised to see so much of Klaipeda still sort of smashed up and uncared for. And does somebody just want that to fall down? Come on, save one of the historic buildings. There are too few of them anyway. Do the decent thing, Klaipeda City Council. Oh God, they're not doing the decent thing at all, are they? They're allowing hideous new buildings to be built. Maybe this one can be preserved. It looks as though somebody's trying to preserve-ish on this side. They're just trying to stop it from falling down while a definitive answer is decided upon. Shall we knock it down in the end, or shall we rebuild it in its former old condition and let it stand here as a lone memorial to what houses used to look like before the dreaded 21st century came along? We have got another old house over there, to be fair, and another one. Quirky. Some kind of pigeon sticking out from the front on this side of the house. What's all that about? Your guess is as good as mine. What's it saying? Don't crap on my doorstep? Maybe not. Or maybe that is exactly the message it's trying to convey. Ooh, some more sweet buildings just here. It's much nicer, isn't it? Much nicer. And sure enough, look what's just around the corner. I know, you're wishing I'd got here at 5 o'clock in the morning when the sun would have been in the right direction and really brought the colour out. As it is, we're here at midday and it's all in darkness. But maybe it won't look too bad on the video. And it's Shepper Art again. Ah, Shepper Art, that's the person responsible, or the studio, responsible for the artwork on the outside of the Klaipeda hostel building, the birds. Aha. And we've got a little bit round the side here to admire as well. Thank you, Shepper Art. I wonder what this leads into. Probably one of those places where you've got to know the password to get in. Knock on the door, ring on the bell, and then a voice croaks something at you, and you've got to say something back, which is the password that only the inn people know about. There's a bear. Is he trying to get in or trying to get out? Silumos Centras. May not be in business anymore, that one. We've almost got a car spoiling things. But not quite. Just when you didn't think there could possibly be more building work going on, there's more building work going on. Crikey, this is what I call a big moth. Danger, chaos inside. Finally, that's what we've been looking for in Klaipeda. Chaos. Might be a bit early. Maybe come back later. What do you think? Why not? Oh, I know why not. Got an early start again tomorrow, haven't I? YouTube vloggers lot is not always a restful one. Here is the Klaipeda Tourist Information Office. Mysteriously not open on Sundays. Got useful tourist information available here. We've got this Hercus Manto Gatva running north of the bridge, and it does actually, I keep calling it by the same name because it's the same street essentially, but the name changes to Tiltu Gatva Bridge Street, going all the way down, and maybe it changes its name again before it gets to Acropolis. But it's all one street. Old Town, as you can see, very small. Most tourists are going to be using it as a launching pad. Klaipeda is the obvious launching pad to get over to Smiltina to explore the Coronian Spit. The theatre square's down there. Tiltu Gatva up there. But what's just around the corner? A building site? Let's look. Oh, I know what's just around the corner. More cobblestones. But not just that. There are also vehicles everywhere. tucked away. You see, if we're persistent, we get an opportunity to be introduced to Goate Mau. Don't know if that's the name of the lady or the artist. Here in a little secluded square, which you might not have read about, might not have heard about. I've encountered it before, didn't see it on the map. I hadn't had my memory jogged, but I knew that there was something here. And sure enough, there is this big square-shaped tower thing on 4 legs. There's a dragon up to no good at the top. Dragons are seldom up to much good, are they? And he's either eavesdropping or he's about to do some mischief. There's a lady and a man in opposite windows, a bird nesting on the lady's head, but there's absolutely no information here to give an inkling about who's responsible for this, whether some artist has interpreted an old Lithuanian folk story, a children's story, a legend, whether it's based on some real events in history, perhaps minus the dragon. It's really up to our imaginations because of the absence of information. Go to Google Maps, locate this little place on Pasiun Tiniu Gatva, a little square just off that street, and something will be highlighted, and when you click on it, it will come up as this. Obviously a story is being told, but it's an elusive tale for tourists such as myself and yourself, presumably, unless something rings a bell with you. But I don't think it ends well, because there's someone here that looks like a woman, but maybe a man, I guess, holding a sword. There's a woman who appears to be the victim, or the future victim, of some evil doing. Odd, and I guess I like it, but I'd like to know what I'm looking at on this occasion. Sometimes it's not necessary, but yeah, I'm just a little bit curious about what the story is. Also on Jono Gatva, at the intersection with Pasiun Tiniu. More cars, more cobblestones, more roadworks, and more cars. And hang on a minute, something else beginning with the letter C over there, at the intersection of Kalviu Gatva and Pasiun Tiniu Gatva. My pronunciation doesn't get any better, does it? What have we got here? Puss in Boots? No, it can't be Puss in Boots. I was thinking Puss in Boots because it looks like the pussycat's wearing boots, but he's also got something rubber on his tail, which looks a bit fearful. And speaking of fearful, what an ugly mug. Mind you, we've got some funny ones up here as well. Same artist, do you think? Back to the main feature. Funny looking cat. Nice to have odd things, even though it might give you nightmares. Might give me nightmares. Not a bad view, eh? Now we're going into the park. No, can't remember if I ever knew what that meant up there. Vienna, Vienna, Vienna. But I don't think it's anything to do with Vienna. Or Ultravox, for that matter. Well, isn't it nice and refreshing to see that this place allows dogs? I was thinking it's a bit of a bummer when I see a sign at the park saying no dogs. Look how much this one's enjoying being in a park. It gladdens everyone's heart to see a dog romping and having fun, except maybe the owner in that case. Seemed to have a bit of a scowl on his face, didn't he? Perhaps he thought, hello, there's a potential dog napper. He's filming my dog and talking admiringly about him. But fear not, sir, I do not intend to make your dog a stowaway in my backpack. It's not going to happen. Besides, I'm not a big fan of poodles, to be honest. Cafe, ice cream place. Parents can check their Wi-Fi and ignore that their child is falling over or getting into danger. Everybody's happy. And if you want to exercise, you can do that. But the bike's belonging to somebody. The bike's not free. Now we've got a lady there of a mature vintage doing some rowing. Good on her. The short autumn turns quickly to winter in the Baltics, and before you know it, yeah, you need that gym membership, don't you? Alternatively, I suppose you could just do a great deal of walking, like I'm doing at the moment. And I definitely feel better for it, you know. I know I shouldn't say it because I'll be cursed as soon as I say this, and I will be stricken and have problems with my old internal stomach intestinal difficulties which have plagued me the last nearly 2 years. But I've been getting more out and about the last 4 weeks, and the last 2 of those weeks I've hardly had any reminders of the pain that I've experienced previously. So there's a lot to be said for doing walking, you know. But you knew that already, didn't you? Well, thank you very much for joining me on today's walkie-talkie video. I hope you've enjoyed some aspects, if not all of the rambling and the rambling that I've been doing during the course of the video. We've seen a little bit more of Klaipeda. I think you'll agree, once the Old Town works are finished, it will be a lot easier to get around and about in there rather than picking our way. Got a lot of editing to do with this video to get rid of all of the rubbish, because there are a few blind alleys that you walk around there because, oh, building site, oh, they got the road up, oh, they've got fences blocking the road off. But once that's all tidied up, I'm sure you'll have a fine time coming to Klaipeda and enjoying the small old town, enjoying the riverside walks, the harbourside walks. I'm looking forward to seeing some more Shepherd art murals on buildings. That's something I'm going to have to do a bit of research on. I might ask the hostel owners, are there any other pieces of artwork around Klaipeda that the chap's responsible for? Or will I see more in Kaunas, which is where I will be going next? Only got a few days in Kaunas though. I really should have booked myself some more time, shouldn't I? Definitely at Klaipeda Hostel another night or two, or even 3. But you know what I'm going to say? This series of videos really is about the long road to Ukraine. And that's where I'm actually heading. So bye for now. Until the next time, feel free to like the video if you liked it, or if you just feel sorry for a man roaming around talking to himself, making lame videos, badly edited, unscripted, unchoreographed. I could do with any support I could get, actually, couldn't I? Yeah. How about subscribing while you're at it? It costs nothing. And we do like things that are free, don't we? I know I do. How do you switch this thing off? Until the next time.